You know what's funny about the worst night of your life? You don't always see it coming. Sometimes it shows up wearing the faces of people who were supposed to love you. I was 17 when my parents packed my bags for me. Not for college, not for summer camp. They packed my things because my sister told them she didn't want me around anymore. And that was enough. That was all it took. I can still see it if I close my eyes. The three of them standing in the hallway like some kind of jury that already made up its mind before I even walked in. My mom had her arms folded. My dad wouldn't look at me. And my sister, oh, my sister. She stood right behind them with this look on her face that I'll carry to my grave. Not guilt, not sadness, satisfaction. Like she'd just won a game I didn't even know we were playing. "She can't stay here anymore," my sister said, voice flat, like she was talking about returning a jacket that didn't fit. "It stresses me out. And you want to know the part that still makes my chest tight?" My parents didn't flinch. They didn't pause. They didn't turn around and tell her that's not how family works. They nodded. Both of them. Like they'd rehearsed it. Like they'd already decided that her comfort was worth more than my entire existence under that roof. My mother called it keeping peace in the house. Let me translate that for you. My sister didn't want to share. Not attention, not space, not love. And since the day she was born, she never had to. She was the golden child. The one whose tantrums were just her personality. The one whose failures were learning experiences. The one who could set the house on fire, and somehow I'd get blamed for the smoke. I stood there with my heart hammering and asked the only question that mattered. Where am I supposed to go? You'd think that would snap a parent out of it. You'd think hearing your child ask where they're going to sleep tonight would crack something open inside you. But my dad just shrugged. Actually shrugged and said, "You've always figured things out. You'll be fine." No one asked if I had money. No one slipped me a number to call. No one hugged me or whispered that they were sorry. My mother didn't even cry. She just watched me pick up that suitcase like I was a stranger walking out of a hotel lobby, and I left. I walked out that door on a Tuesday night with a bag that barely held a week's worth of clothes, $43 in my pocket, and a feeling in my stomach like someone had scooped out everything warm and left me hollow. The streetlights buzzed overhead, and the air smelled like rain that hadn't fallen yet, and I remember thinking, is this what invisible feels like? Because I'd been invisible in that house for years, but this was the first time the walls actually spit me out. Here's what nobody tells you about being thrown away by your own family. It doesn't just hurt once. It hurts every single morning when you wake up and remember that nobody's looking for you. It hurts at the grocery store when you see a mother shopping with her daughters. It hurts on holidays when your phone stays silent. It's not one wound. It's 1,000 tiny cuts that reopen every time you breathe too deep. But here's what else nobody tells you. Sometimes getting thrown away is the beginning of something those people could never give you. Freedom. Real, raw, painful freedom. The first year was brutal. I'm not going to romanticize it. I couch surfed. I worked at a sandwich shop where the manager screamed at everyone and the tips were garbage. I ate rice and canned beans so many nights that to this day, the smell makes my stomach turn. There were weeks I couldn't afford shampoo. Weeks I sat in my car, when I finally got one, a beat-up Honda with a cracked windshield, and just cried until my whole face was swollen. Not because I missed them, because I couldn't understand what was so wrong with me that my own mother could watch me leave and not say a word. But somewhere between the crying and the canned beans, something else started happening. Something quiet. Something stubborn. I started getting angry, not the destructive kind. The kind that makes you clench your jaw and whisper, "Watch me." I picked up a second job. Then I found a tiny design studio that smelled like burnt coffee and had air conditioning that worked maybe 3 days a week. The owner was this older guy named Ray who wore the same flannel shirt every Tuesday and talked to his plants like they were employees. He didn't care about my background. He didn't ask where my family was. He just looked at my work, nodded slowly, and said, "You've got something. Let's build on it." And we did. I learned everything that studio could teach me. Branding, layout, user interfaces, client pitches, all of it. I stayed late. I came early. I took free online courses at midnight and practiced until my eyes burned. I climbed from intern to junior designer, then from junior to lead. Every rung of that ladder I grabbed with both hands because nobody was going to push me up. Nobody ever had. By year 4, something shifted. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was actually, genuinely, for the first time in my life, okay. More than okay. A tech company found my portfolio online and offered me a remote position with a salary that made me read the email 3 times because I thought it was a scam. It wasn't. And just like that, the girl who got kicked out with $43 started building a life that nobody in that house ever imagined for her. Especially not them. Especially not my sister. But here's where the story turns. Because life has this wicked sense of timing. Right when I finally felt steady, right when the ground under me stopped shaking, my phone buzzed with a message from a number I never thought I'd see again. My mother. And what she wanted wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't reconciliation. It was something that made my blood go cold. 6 years. 6 full years of silence. No birthday texts. No Thanksgiving calls. No, hey, just checking if you're alive. Nothing. A void so wide and so complete that some nights I convinced myself I dreamed that family up entirely. That they were characters from a bad movie I watched too young and couldn't shake. And then, a photo. My mother sent me a picture of my sister sitting in a hospital waiting room. Mascara streaked down her face. Eyes swollen. Looking like the world had finally done to her what she'd spent her whole life doing to everyone else. Underneath the photo, 5 words. She needs help. Please call. I stared at that message for so long my screen went dark. Then I read it again. And again. And each time it hit different. Not sadder, not softer, just more absurd. Because let me make sure you're hearing this clearly. The people who didn't care if I ate, slept, or survived were now asking me to save the one person they chose over me. The audacity wasn't loud. It was quiet, calm, delivered in a text message like a grocery list. Like I was a service they forgot they'd canceled and suddenly needed again. Against every instinct screaming at me to delete that message and move on, I called. I don't know why. Maybe curiosity. Maybe that little girl inside me who still flinched every time she heard the word family wanted to understand. Or maybe, and this is the part I hate admitting, maybe a tiny buried piece of me still wanted them to say they were wrong. My mother picked up before the first ring even finished. That's how fast, like she'd been sitting there clutching that phone, waiting for me to do exactly what I always did, show up when they needed something. She talked fast, breathless, tripping over her own words like if she slowed down, I might hang up. And honestly, she wasn't wrong. Here's what happened to my sister, the golden child, the protected one, the girl who got everything handed to her, including my spot in the family. She got engaged, big ring, bigger announcements, the kind of engagement that lives on social media with captions full of heart emojis and words like blessed and my forever. Except her forever lasted about 8 months because her fiancé found out she'd been hiding debt. Not small debt. The kind of debt that makes someone sit down slowly and rethink every conversation they've ever had with you. He left. Publicly, messily. And my sister, who had never once in her life been told no by anyone who mattered, did not handle it well. She lost her job next. Not because the economy was bad, not because of layoffs, because she couldn't stop lashing out at people. She got into a screaming match with a coworker that crossed a line nobody could walk back from. Then she moved home, right back into the house they'd cleared out for her all those years ago, and started draining my parents dry. Financially, emotionally. Every ounce of energy they had left, she consumed it like oxygen, and now she was in legal trouble. Some kind of altercation at her former workplace that turned into something a lawyer needed to handle. My parents were overwhelmed, broke, exhausted. And for the first time in their lives, they looked at their golden child and realized the thing they'd been protecting all along was the thing destroying them. So naturally, they called the daughter they threw away. My mother finished her breathless summary and said, "We just need you to guide her. Help her get back on track. Be the strong one. Be the strong one." As if strength was something I owed them. As if I hadn't built that strength specifically because they left me with nothing else. I asked her one question. Simple. Direct. "Why do you think I owe you anything?" Silence. Long enough that I thought the call dropped. Then she said it. The 4 words every dysfunctional family hides behind like a shield. Because we're family. Family. That word used to mean something to me. It used to be the thing I cried over at night, the thing I mourned like a death. But standing in my quiet apartment, with my own furniture and my own food in my own fridge, that word sounded hollow, performed. Like a line from a script she'd memorized but never understood. I told her I'd think about it. But what I really needed was to see them, not for them, for me. I needed to stand in that house one more time and find out if it still had power over me. So I went. When I pulled up, the house looked smaller. I don't mean that in a poetic way. I mean the actual building looked like it had shrunk. The yard was patchy. The paint was peeling near the gutters. Even the front door, the same door they closed behind me 6 years ago, looked tired. Inside was worse. The living room felt cramped and stale, like the walls had been holding their breath for years. My sister sat on the couch with her arms crossed and her jaw tight, looking like someone who'd been forced to attend her own intervention. She didn't stand up, didn't greet me, didn't even fake a smile. My father spoke first. He cleared his throat the way men do when they're about to say something they practiced in the mirror. We didn't know things would turn out like this. She needs you. She needs you. Not, we were wrong. Not, we're sorry. Not, we should have never let you go. Just, she needs you. Again, still, always. I looked at my sister. Waited for something. Anything. One word that showed she understood what they did to me. What she did to me. She finally looked up. And what came out of her mouth sealed every door I'd ever left open for that family. Can you just tell them you'll help? It'll take pressure off me. And there it was. Naked, shameless, undeniable. After 6 years, after everything, I was still just a tool to her. A thing that existed to make her life more comfortable. Not a sister. Not a person. A convenience. Something clicked shut inside my chest. Quiet. Final. Like the last lock on a door I was never going to open again. I took a breath. Not a shaky one. Not the kind you take when you're trying not to cry. The kind you take when you've already done all your crying, years of it, and there's nothing left but clarity. I looked at my mother. Then my father. Then my sister. 3 people who shared my blood but never once shared my burden. And I spoke, calm, steady, not loud, not angry, just honest in a way that house had never heard before. I'm not here to fix what you all chose to break. My mother blinked like I'd slapped her. My father opened his mouth to interrupt, and I raised my hand, not aggressive, just firm. The kind of firm that comes from 6 years of learning your own voice because nobody else was going to speak for you. You kicked me out so she could feel comfortable. You watched me walk out that door with nothing and you didn't check on me, not once. You didn't care if I was safe. You didn't wonder if I was eating. You erased me because it was easier than telling her no. And now that things are hard for her, now that she's the one struggling, you want me to step in and carry it, like I always did. I paused. Let the silence do its work. I rebuilt everything. Alone. From nothing. And not once, not a single time, did any of you ask how. My sister scoffed, rolled her eyes like we were teenagers arguing over bathroom time. So what? You think you're better than us now? I looked at her. Really looked. And for the first time, I didn't see the girl who terrorized my childhood. I didn't see the golden child. I saw someone who was handed everything and built nothing. Someone who never learned to stand because nobody ever let her fall. And I felt something I never expected. Not anger, not satisfaction. Just a deep, heavy sadness for the person she could have been if they hadn't ruined her with all that protecting. No, I said quietly. I don't think I'm better than you. I just know I'm done being the disposable one. My father's jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jump. My mother's eyes filled up, but even those tears felt performative, like she was crying for the scene, not for me. My sister muttered something under her breath, something sharp, something meant to sting. But here's the thing about words. They only cut if you're still close enough to hear them. And I wasn't. Not anymore. I stood up, smoothed my jacket, looked at each of them one last time, and I said the only generous thing I had left to offer. I hope things get better for all of you. I really do. Then I walked out. Same door, same hallway, same steps. But everything about it was different this time. Because 6 years ago I left that house like a girl being exiled. This time I left like a woman choosing peace. And those two things, exile and choice, couldn't be more different if they tried. 2 weeks later, life did what life does when you stay the course and keep your head straight. The tech company I worked for announced an expansion, new branch, new leadership position, and they offered it to me. The role, the title, the salary, all of it was the kind of thing that changes not just your year, but your entire trajectory. I said yes before the email finished loading. When the announcement hit LinkedIn, my phone lit up like a switchboard. My mother texted something long about family unity and how proud she was, proud, as if she had anything to do with it. My father sent a dinner invitation to reconnect, like 6 years of silence could be patched over with pot roast. And my sister, predictable to the very end, wrote, "So you're some big manager now. Can we talk? I think we started off wrong." Started off wrong, like she accidentally bumped into me at a coffee shop instead of systematically helping dismantle my place in the family. I stared at those messages for maybe 30 seconds. Thought about responding, thought about explaining, thought about giving them one more chance to hear me, really hear me. And then I blocked all 3. Not because I hated them, that's what people always assume, that boundaries come from bitterness. They don't. Mine came from something much quieter than that. They came from the realization that some people will only ever see you as what you can give them. And no amount of success, no promotion, no salary, no apartment with good lighting and clean sheets, none of it will make them love you the way you needed to be loved when you were 17 with $43 and nowhere to go. You can't retrofit love into people who never carried it for you in the first place. So I let them go. For real this time, not with a speech, not with a door slam, just a quiet, invisible line drawn in the sand that said, "You don't get to come here anymore." My life got softer after that. Not easier. Softer. I stopped carrying the weight of their opinion. I stopped rehearsing conversations they'd never care enough to have. I stopped performing strength and just started living in it. Grocery shopping on Sunday mornings, cooking meals I actually wanted to eat, calling friends who called me back, sleeping without that tight knot in my chest that used to wake me up at 3 a.m. whispering, "What if they were right about you?" They weren't right. They were never right. Some families teach you love. They show you what it looks like to be held, to be chosen, to be someone's first call and last thought. Some families give you that warmth, and you carry it into every room you walk into for the rest of your life. And then there are families like mine, the ones that teach you something harder, something colder. But maybe, just maybe, something equally valuable. They teach you resilience. They teach you how to stand in an empty room with nothing and decide that you're going to be okay anyway. They teach you who you never want to become. And if you're paying attention, if you survive it, they teach you exactly how much you're worth. Not because they told you, because they didn't.